Well, we're going to move on to our next speaker, Jenni Robertson. Jenni's all ready to start. Again, there's a bit of information, biographical information about Jenni in the packs. So I'm going to read that out. But Jenni has been a music teacher, but currently working with the digital learning team in the City of Edinburgh Council. I said to Jenni just a minute ago, what made you move from music to that? She said, I've always pushed buttons. So we're going to hear about pushing buttons from Jenni. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Can everybody at the back hear me? Excellent. My name's Jenni Robertson. As I was introduced there, I'm normally a high school music teacher in Edinburgh, but I'm seconded out to the digital learning team in the City of Edinburgh Council. And our remit, or our statement there on the board, is embedding technologies in learning and teaching to improve outcomes for all learners. Tiny little kids, grannies that are 92. Whatever learners we have, we want to improve the outcomes for you using technology. This is our blog here. Public, open, you're more than welcome to have a look at all the resources that are in there. I wanted to give you a brief overview of the job that we do and then talk to you about our one-to-one digital learning projects that are taking place in the city at the moment. So throughout each sector that we have, we've got technologies embedded in the learning and teaching, and I'm going to show you a short video of a 3-year-old using one of the apps that we have. It's called Puppet Pals. I don't know, are there any Puppet Pal users in the audience? Well, there's one for you to write down. Puppet Pals is a bit of animation software. This 3-year-old had never seen it before in her life. There was no adult beside her. I think you're probably guessing what I'm about to say. She did it all herself. No instruction, and the bit to notice that where most learning takes place is when we get it wrong. So there's a bit that happened that she didn't expect, and then it was, how am I going to get out of this? So have a wee look at this. And so on. So she was just stuck on, how do I get that big? And she worked through all the buttons and got her Wicked Witch big again. Now, for a lot of us, we wouldn't be pushing any buttons to find out how to get the Wicked Witch big, but it's just a state of mind. I'm going to have a wee shot at this and see what I can do. In primary, and I'll just play this one at the moment, learning and teaching has changed completely. That the classrooms you see now are probably not what you experienced when you were at school or when I was at school. This classroom on the right, they're animating at the moment, so they're using some animation software. There's no need to go to any ICT suites. We don't have to then book out a room, oh, I'm going to take my learners, whoever they are, to do some animation. If you've got a device that can cope with that, you can do it right there and there. We could have tables just now sitting and making a little animation about today. We do not need now to go to somewhere where the equipment is. It's with us most of the time. In our secondary schools, it's been an eye-opener as well. Teachers a lot of time think things happen in isolation. We don't realise that kids are learning most of what they learn at home or with their pals. So there was a girl here, we were doing some computer animation. The teacher was talking, she'd already created this bouncing ball with a shadow and it moved. And it was like, oh my goodness, you could do that already. And I think that was a good reflection on what we don't realise. In our special schools as well, mobile technology is really taken off in that we now don't have to buy expensive equipment. You may be used to getting free apps or apps that are maybe 69p. Some apps for special education might be £69, but you've made a saving of about £2,900 from buying the actual equipment. So it's really taken off in special as well. I want to show you one of the CLD projects that we've been part of in Edinburgh. This was, and for my Edinburgh colleagues, this was John Player's Glory and Dismay Hearts project. It's nothing to do with Hearts, it just takes place at the stadium if it's still open. So I'll show you this wee video, and with the learners there, we were working with mobile technologies, introducing them quite often for the first time somebody had had a bit of technology in their hand and showing how we can connect to the world. It's now not just me and the 20 square metres that I inhabit, I can go anywhere I want in the world. One of the apps that we've been using there, and we're going back to work with that project, is a little app called Explain Everything. And we've been using a little project with some grannies and granddaughters so that they can talk about holidays that they went on. And they're using the technology to teach the other generation about the past, about their lives now, but have it recorded and then put online so that we can share it with people, so that it's there for people that live in different countries or different places that we've not visited yet. So we're using a lot of technology to really connect each other now. I'm a baby widow. My husband was the captain of one of the Edinburgh Boys Brigade, the 20th Leaf. We did a lot of technology projects there. And one thing that I would say is the kids that are part of the schools that have one-to-one technology, and it might not be one per student, it might be one-to-one when you need it, so access when it's required. These are the kids that are going away to the BB after school. They're going to their clubs, so we're going to encounter people that have access to a device. It's probably in your pocket right now, or on your table. We are connected to each other. Social media, and I know that's been a discussion much of today. In Edinburgh, we have opened up social media for staff in schools. All staff have access to Twitter and Facebook, and we're looking at and writing case studies at the moment. It may be open for pupils. If we're back here in a year's time, it may just be open for everybody. So we're actively promoting these channels of engagement to staff. Anybody here heard of the SAMR model? Hands up at the back. Well done. The SAMR model of technology integration. And a lot of what you've been doing today, you guys are up at redefinition. We're redefining the task, and thanks to Ross earlier with the Twitter workshop as well. When we introduce technology, and in fact, you'll have probably gone through this process yourself, sometimes you think, actually, I could have just written that down on a bit of paper, but I've got a £300 device and I can make a note on it. Big wows. What we're trying to do is get up to the top of this model where we are redefining what we can do now, so that really, again, it's back to communication, being connected to each other. How can we redefine what we are doing? How are we learning now? And I'll touch on that a wee bit at the end. So to our one-to-one projects. Now, these are projects where kids have been given a device, and it is theirs to take home as well. So this device is with them in school, and it's with them at home, and it's with their families at home as well. And you'll see we've got 2 primaries and 2 high schools that have been involved in these projects. It's not every child in the school, it's maybe a year group. At Sheen's Primary, where I think our next speaker has visited, when this project was launched, they did a P5 and a P6 class, were given a device and that was taken home. Parents were in school discussing how the device would be used, the benefits to learning and teaching. Hull University came up and they did a study. We were part of a national Scottish study on devices in education, and that information is now published on the Hull University website, and also on our blog you'll find the results of the evaluation. We've also asked Hull University to look at our Edinburgh schools that are piloting different devices, and how is that changing learning and teaching for these kids and for these teachers. The headline findings that came out of the studies about one-to-one when the device went home with a child. Now, we're probably one-to-one right now. You have got a device. We're in a one-to-one situation. Not every classroom looks like this. But it was the ownership of the device. The fact that it went home made huge pedagogical changes, so the learning changed completely. The teacher was no longer the sage on the stage. They were the facilitator that enabled the learning to take place. And I know that I've been in a situation where I've been teaching music. I've got lovely devices in my classroom. The bell goes and the kids are off to the next class. And, oh, can I take it with me? Sorry, it's got to stay in my classroom. And it's such a downer that if that device just stayed with that person, it just made everything better. And you can read there, another one was the low learning curve. That's true for a lot of people. It's not true for everybody. So what we've designed is a series of videos that are publicly available on our blog, designed to just give people a helping hand into the technology. We've started with iPad because that was the predominant device just now in Edinburgh schools and in Edinburgh services. And you're free, if you've got somebody that is just struggling to engage, that might be a useful place to start as well. So there's a national strategy, I'm sure you're aware of, technologies for learning. And 3 of those objectives, I think we're beginning to really cover it in Edinburgh, that we're beginning to change the culture of ICT. It is not done to you. I'm not taking you somewhere to do ICT, it's part of our life. You'll know that. I'm sure if I took everybody's phone away from them just now, there would be an issue. It's part of what we do every day, every minute, often in the bed at night when you're watching the news or whatever. To improve confidence in the use of ICT. Absolutely. I love ICT, I love technology. I've pushed buttons since I can remember. I've caused alarms to go off in John Lewis when my mum was saying, don't touch that. I was like, I cannot help myself. But that's not everybody's story, but it is a mindset. You can do this. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in something. It's just practice. Nobody is born able to do ICT. It's practice. Does anybody know who this girl is? Yep. Correct, that's Martha Payne, who started her blog that the authorities shut down and then thought, actually, she has now raised over £100,000 for Mary's Meals and been out to Malawi and seen the kitchen that she's helped set up. That was all done outside of school. And I think this quote from Einstein kind of sums that up. That sometimes what we do gets in the way of it. Sometimes shutting access to social media or saying, could you just put your phone away? That's not the answer to it. It's understanding how it works, how Twitter works, how Facebook works. There's a lot of issues in school around social media, and if teachers or educators don't know what this child's experiencing, how on earth are we going to help? So I think we need to get these things open that we can then teach and allow others to learn from that. I thought also just to finish up, I know that we've got somebody speaking next who's Minister for Education and Lifelong Learning. Well, this fish tank, we got a fish tank for Christmas. And I thought you went to the shop and you bought a tank and you got your fish. But I know now I need to do 101 things with the water. I've been testing it every day. There's not a fish in that tank yet. My nitrate levels are too high. I need to keep checking this fish tank. And every day the kids, can we get a fish yet, Mum? It's like, no, my water levels aren't quite right yet, kids, but don't worry, we've got snails. Did you know snails came off plants when you got a tank? No idea, they're there in my fish tank now. I have learned all there is to know about fish tanks and water in the last 2 weeks, and it's all because of being connected. I didn't buy a book, I didn't speak to too many people, spoke to the lady in the shop that told me it was a moral issue the size of the tank I was buying. But I've now discovered all there is to know, and it's all with being online, in the car going home, at home looking, what sort of fish can we get? Oh, I meant to go back. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Anyone that keeps learning, if we're learning and the people that you work with every day are learning, then we are staying young, our brains are staying fit and we're active. Hopefully that gives you a little flavour of what we're doing in the digital learning team. You can follow our blog, you can follow us on Twitter, you can drop me an email if you do email, because it's adults that do email. Thank you very much for listening, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day.